I would like you to put your hands on my palantir.
Ooh, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
I beg your pardon?
Never mind. Oh, you meant an actual palantir.
It will give you a brief glimpse into worlds beyond our own, and how people in those worlds regard us. Place your hand upon it. Now I must warn you.
This isn't my first rodeo, love. I've touched a palantir before, thank you very much.
You have not touched this one.
The Rings of Power has a Galadriel problem. She's a Karen and a Mary Sue at the very same time, in many ways. In a show that is competing, essentially, and it's called The House of the Dragon. People keep telling me the show is great. 85, 85.
I did try to warn you.
I don't know anyone called Mary Sue or Karen, and I've never been to the House of the Dragon, but I do know one thing. I'm going to find out who this quartering character is, and when I do, he's going to get a bit of the ice troll treatment.
What's going on, everybody? And oh my God. We actually have some real viewership numbers from Amazon's Rings of Power, and it's not good. It's not the 25 million, bazillion, quadrillion that Amazon said it was. It seems almost impossible for that to be true based on this new report. And I know that the media took its victory lap about how a token for today's age was going to be a huge success, and because really everyone had to watch it, because I mean, you don't want them to call you a racist, do they? You don't want that, do you? I mean that. Oh, the real numbers are amazing. I'm going to get into that after a quick word from this video's sponsor. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Mech Arena. Look, Mech Arena is the first mobile game I've ever really tested my skill, and it's rewarded me better than the competition. Look, Mech Arena said that I could talk about whatever it is that I love about the game in this month's ad, and it's just that there's always something more to do. There's a new mech. There's a new weapon. There's a new combination of mech and weapon. The process of setting up a mech, picking out the items, the weapons that I want, playing through the battle. It's just as fun on the 100th time as it is the first, which is why I think you should try Mech Arena today. And this month is absolutely huge for Mech Arena. They've got a new Battle Pass season, plus an absolutely huge lineup of Oktoberfest events with some amazing prizes, including the new pilot, Boar. Mech Arena is also adding controller support, which I'm super excited for, and it's my opinion the absolute best way to play third-person shooters, and I can't wait to try it out. Mech Arena is getting massive, and it's completely free to play on Android and iOS right now, and if you use my personal link, you get a free starter pack worth 25 bucks, a Firelight skin, a Prodigy crate, and a Plasma Cannon 4 to help kickstart your game. And if you're quick, you can add me, Colt's dad, and we can play some matches together. Support the channel and try out an amazing game in Mech Arena using my link below. Hey, try out the game. It's free and it supports the channel, and they're a strong channel sponsor that doesn't respond to weirdos freaking out, so I greatly appreciate it. Remember this? Remember the celebration? This is just 4 or 5 days ago. Rings of Power draws record 25 million viewers. 25 million viewers. A number that is unfathomable, to be honest with you. But Toking has his fans. And if it were on like terrestrial free TV, 25 million may have been a number I was willing to believe. But I never believed this number fully. It seems so insane. Why is it insane? Well, because we know if 25 million people watched the show, we would certainly have more than 15,000 reviews on Amazon.com reviewing the show. We would probably have over 1 million reviews on sites like IMDb. If you had that kind of viewership, including that kind of buzz that's going around on YouTube and everything else, granted, it's not exactly the kind of buzz. It's more like the buzz of a swarm of hornets coming to sting you. but they said 25 million viewers. Truly amazing. Except, I don't know. Then we started to see some cracks kind of forming with articles like this. Amazon Rings of Power ratings figure doesn't actually reveal very much. There's no way of verifying the 25 million person number. While Prime Video content is included in Nielsen's weekly streaming ratings data, this is the very first time Amazon has publicly indicated how many people are watching any of the original series. And comparing Rings figure to Nielsen data is not straightforward. The ratings firm measures only US streaming viewership in minutes viewed per week, making it difficult to actually determine how many people really watched a show or a movie. By the way, Nielsen has yet to report viewership for Rings, but we can see Wheel of Time and The Terminal List are the two biggest shows that Amazon's ever had, and they were at 1.1 and 1.2 billion minutes viewed. Again, I don't really love the minutes viewed as a litmus test or as a ratings, because like, what if your show is only 20-minute episodes versus episodes that are an hour long, right? You have a 3-4 to 1 ratio of minutes for people that actually watched it. So, you know, you could have viewership numbers 4 times higher for a show that's just 4 times longer. And it's a dangerous number to kind of report. I get why they do it that way, because it's kind of the best that they can do without the transparency. But you see, the context-free number, 25 million viewers, is an illusionary attempt at transparency. The figure recalls Netflix days of reporting the number of accounts that watch at least 2 minutes of a title. As Variety noted, Amazon did not specify how it even measures a view, nor how much of an episode a user needs to watch even to count as a viewer. Well, we know that it was about 8 seconds. If you watch the trailer on Amazon, bam, you're a viewer. You're a viewer. And although Rings of Power has undoubtedly accumulated more viewers since its debut, between the subsequent episodes released September 9th and later, catching up with the 2-episode premiere, Amazon has not released any further numbers quantifying the show's performance. I wonder why that is, friends. You know for a fact that if they had numbers increasing, they'd be reporting on it, right? I mean, any idiot knows that, okay? One wonders if the 25 million figure was simply Amazon's attempt to outclass HBO's House of the Dragon, the other blockbuster fantasy series often pitted against Rings. And now here's where things get weird. The Game of Thrones prequel spinoff scored nearly 10 million viewers in 24 hours following its own premiere. After HBO's reported on the delayed audience for its fantasy epic, according to a press release later, the first episode's viewership grew to over 20 million. So they came, at 25 million. Now, Discovery CFO said that this week's episode has now been viewed well north of 30 million viewers. So it goes up and up and up and up, right? Well, then we get the actual viewership. I think our best number yet, right? So we know these numbers. We know the 25, 30 million on HBO. We know the 25 million that Amazon reported. Now, could they both be lying? Almost certainly, right? Almost certainly they're both lying or obfuscating the truth. But what this tells us, this report, is a lot. Demand for House of Dragon could soon double that of Rings of Power. The popularity of HBO's prequel continues to grow, while demand for Amazon's Lord of the Rings spin-off is falling. While demand for HBO's House of the Dragon has risen this week, demand for Amazon's Prime Video Rings of Power fell by 13%, according to Parrot Analytics data, which takes into account consumer research, streaming downloads, and social media, among other engagement. Another week like this, and Game of Thrones prequel will have twice the demand of Rings of Power. If the trajectories of these two shows remain on path, it's looking like HBO will have won the much-anticipated face-off without even being much of a fight at all. Holding on to the top spot again, House of the Dragon widened its lead over rival shows on the show's ranking of breakout shows. Last week, it looked like early hype around the series may have been subsiding, but the 13% growth in demand for this week, the show put it comfortably ahead of other recent premieres with 55 times the average series demand. FX's Welcome to Wrexham held on to 4th place this week, just slightly growing its demand by 2%, but the network's animated comedy Little Demon lost some steam this week as it fell by 16%. And you see, House of the Dragon, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law is actually up there. Now remember that their equation here is not in viewership specifically, but it also bakes in social media chatter, things of that nature. Well, what was happening the week of the 10th through the 16th of September? Was that Twerkgate? A lot of people talking about She-Hulk then, weren't they? Still, Lord of the Rings or Rings of Power has an exceptional or nearly exceptional rating, the top of outstanding by this standard, by this chart, of nearly 30 times the standard chatter around the show. But with House of the Dragon at 55.4, it's almost double already. And with Rings of Power falling off, it could actually fall into the 4th spot. Demand of AMC's Tales of the Walking Dead fell by 10% this week, dropping the show to the 7th place in ranking. I mean, is it plausible? Okay, the question of whether or not something's possible is probably always, well, sure, it's possible, right? Maybe there's just as many, if not more, people watching Rings of Power, but nobody's talking about it. I mean, we know that's not true. It's like improbable. But what are the odds that, given both shows reported similar viewership, somehow House of the Dragon has double, not like 1 to 2, right? Not like 1 to 2, but from 30 to 56, right? Like, we're not talking about, oh, this had 7 lemons and this one had 2 lemons and this one had 4 lemons. We're talking about the 30 to 60, a huge difference. And those are multipliers, by the way. There's no way on earth that Rings of Power is pulling the same viewership as House of the Dragon based on this numbers. And you saw with House of the Dragon growing each week and Rings of Power falling by 13%, probably not a good trajectory. Rings of Power is not doing well. And despite like having Orlando Bloom, they brought Orlando Bloom to come out sharing support for Rings of Power star Don Lemon amid hateful backlash. No, I don't think anyone like hates the dude. I think they're just pointing out that, like, you know, he's a black elf. That doesn't track. But I mean, this is pretty this blows a hole in what Amazon said about their viewership. And I have a second video later today. Amazon really is up to some shenanigans around the Rings of Power reviews. You're going to want to make sure you leave a like on this video and you click subscribe. You're not going to want to miss the second video on this because it's actually bananas. I hope you enjoyed this video though, and we'll talk to you again real soon.